ants being injected into the mold, and they will go along with it. New ideas can be injected into the social orthodoxy. That's true.
Honestly, if I was Jordan Peterson, I would bust out the lawyers. Right now, Tim Pool is ripping off your shit, all right? If you just substitute lobsters for ants, that's the new fucking Tim Pool grift he's got going on here.
Oh, bloody hell, the wokeness of the mighty ant as it follows one upon the other.
Guys, gals, and MPals, I actually have good news for once. I can even use the button. Hold on, here we go.
Good news, everyone. Good news, everyone.
More Gen Z Americans identify as LGBTQ+ than as Republicans. Hell yeah. And I want to say this is in large part due to a lot of you spreading the woke mind virus, okay? We can now reveal the secrets of the left. It is true, actually. They were completely right. They identified what our plan was, but a little too late. A little too late. You almost had us, you dastardlies. But no. We had already gone too far. We'd already spread the woke mind virus, and it already infected all facets of society. And we gayified. We gayified the world. Now there are more gay than ever before, and the gays have won, effectively becoming the most powerful of all voter demographics as well as populations. Activists have hailed a demographic tsunami headed towards American politics after a survey revealed that Gen Z are more LGBTQ+ and less Republican than any previous generation. A poll released by Axios on Tuesday found that Generation Z, those between the age of 12 and 27, are also less likely to be religious than others. Oh no, you heathens, you Satan-worshipping heathens. Why? No, actually, you atheist-worshipping spaghetti monsters? I don't know. What do you worship, Gen Z? The internet? More than 6,000 young people surveyed in all 50 states, and only 21% of Gen Z Americans said they were Republicans, compared to 32% of baby boomers, those born between 1946 and 1964. Gen Z adults were also far less likely to identify as white Christians, 27%, compared to baby boomers, 54%, and more likely to identify as non-affiliated to any religion than any other generation except millennials. So that's us. It might be not a surprise to hear that many Gen Z is the queerest generation the US has ever seen, with more than a quarter of young adults identified as LGBTQ+, compared with just 4% of baby boomers. Damn, things just got increasingly more gay as time went on, and it's beautiful to see. Clearly, Gen Z does not like to be labeled, and they're not necessarily wanting to hang their hat on any particular political party these days, says Melissa Deckman, Chief Executive of Research and Educational Organization, the Public Religion Research Institute, told Axios. Alejandro Caraballo, friend of the show, Gen Z identifies as LGBTQ+, 28%, more than being Republican, 21%, or white Christian, 27%. It's over for white Christian male hegemony in the United States, and it's time for an egalitarian and equitable society. Well, that's the other great news about the story, by the way, is that it's actually not true. I was doing a bit. You can't become gay against your will. You can't be gayified. I know Michael Knowles is really obsessed right now with like hypnotic sissy porn, and he believes that hypnotic pansexual sissy porn is actually effectively being utilized to convert people into gaydom. Now, people can certainly experiment, and there's a lot of straight dudes who will experiment, and sometimes they'll have gay encounters or gay experiences. Sometimes they just jack off with the boys. Sometimes they're just fooling around, you know. A lot of women go through experimental phases as well, just to find out whether or not, you know what, maybe I'll see. Do I like this? I do, or I don't. Who knows? But that doesn't mean necessarily that they're gay, and certainly no exposure to more incredible hard bodies on the internet. The proliferation of all this stuff is leading directly to the gayness itself. What is happening is that people feel more safe, there's a more welcoming atmosphere, combined with the fact that there's more access to information where people can learn about things like what exactly is it to be non-binary? What is it to be trans or cis or straight or gay or bi? And younger generations know a lot more about these topics than previous generations before, and as such, they've been able to identify more readily. Now, there are other studies that have come out which have shown, and this one is going to be a blow, I know, to the omega queers, of which I count myself among them. But for the omega queers who believe that we are the one true queer force that is going to unleash queerdom upon the universe, apparently that's not true. Much like left-handedness, it's showing now that it's starting to plateau in terms of people who are identifying in certain categories. Once you start breaking it down into people identifying as cis or trans, pansexual, bisexual, straight, gay, all that kind of stuff, there's a dramatic increase, yes, but it's because there's, again, more access to information, less vilification, which is showing that number to be going up, but in some ways it's also starting to plateau, as was expected to happen once everyone stops being the bigots. So unfortunately, straight people will not be able to be converted to becoming gay against their will. No amount of sissy porn will be able to effectively convert the straights into becoming gay. But it turns out there's just a lot less, just 100% hardcore straights than ever thought before. Or thought possible, or as more, again, acceptance to this kind of stuff becomes readily available, people will start to learn a whole wondrous amount of things. Perhaps they're not sexually attracted to people at all, or perhaps they are sexually attracted to people, but they're not romantically attracted to people, and that's actually completely okay. Maybe they are completely, mostly straight. They're usually attracted, let's just say 80% of the time, to women, if they are a straight man. But then sometimes, and they're not entirely sure why, they might look at a male body and suddenly be like, yeah, that dude, I get it. That dude's good looking, right? And then maybe goes a little further. Maybe like, I don't understand this feeling. I don't know why I like just kind of that weird, dumb jock look he's giving me right now. And then like, yeah, why is this scene with this kind of like a gaze and it's looking at him and he's all sweaty and I don't understand why this is physically appealing to me. But that doesn't mean that I want to have sex with him. I'm not saying that I want to suck his penis. I'm just saying that by viewing this footage right now, I'm confused and not entirely sure why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. But that could be its own separate thing. People are gayifying as the result of some kind of insidious woke mind virus.
Yes. We have this story from the Daily Mail, which is factually incorrect, and I can prove it. This article says that Gen Z is the gayest generation we've seen so far, and that is actually true. But it goes on to say that Christianity is on the decline. It's actually not true, because there's disputed sources.
Whoa, wait, you gave in to the gay already? The gays won? Hell yeah. Well, that was easy. So I guess we just need to do a crab dance for heteronormativity. Shout out to Place Boing for that remix. That's Gay Frog's Alex Jones remix by Place Boing.
What we're actually seeing with these competing political sources is that hyperpolarization is taking over Gen Z and will only get worse with the coming generations. That being said, one counter to that argument is that Gen Z leftists don't have kids because they're gay. They're less likely to have kids.
Oh, right. I forgot your obsession with the breeding practices of the queers. So, yeah, that was something that Tim Pool brought up a lot when I was debating him. He's really convinced that apparently, if you happen to be a leftist or a progressive, or you care about like just the civil rights of LGBTQ plus people and they should have the same rights as everyone else, if you care about that kind of shit, well, then you effectively want to forcibly sterilize them. And that's part of your plan because you don't realize this. I don't know if you know this, but like tidids can't reproduce, brah. You know, it's like P and P, not P and V. So there, checkmate. Yeah, end of discussion.
And thus, the rise in Christianity may actually persist. And my prediction is that the future of this country will be a Christian conservative nation because they have kids. Now I know.
So, I just gonna throw this out there. Your theories by this point would have come true. If they're true, right? So like the fact is that queer people, they're going to show up in the general population, whether you like it or not, unfortunately. And you could have an eliminationist project, you know, like some kind of a Nazi project where you try to actually eliminate the queers from existing because you think they're inferior. That's what the Nazis did. And even if you got rid of every single gay, even if you found every single queer person, you got rid of every single one of them, they, in a couple of generations, would start to appear again, magically. It's not because of like gay fairy dust. It's just because it's something that's normal, that just appears within human beings as human beings exist. That's the reality of the situation. And in terms of like, well, Christians have kids, and so the Christians will continue to have kids and become more conservative and more Christian as they have more children. It's only a matter of time. Have you seen the film Idiocracy? In the film Idiocracy, yes, there's two different categories that go into two different directions. There's the liberals who only have like one kid or no kids because they want to have their careers, right? And then there's all the idiots, and the idiots are the ones that mass produce, and they produce a whole bunch of people. It's like, yeah, I mean, you're basically describing eugenics. And it turns out, again, that queer people are probably going to start to increase in how much you see them in demographics if they feel safer about coming out and explaining that they are happy with who they are. And B, if they're aware of a lot of these things, if they have more access to information to learn about what it is to, say, be non-binary or be bisexual or not be a 1 or a 6 on the Kinsey scale. That's going to take some education, but then they'll appear. Yeah.
Many people make the argument, they say, no, Tim, you're wrong, because the left indoctrinates. Indoctrination works only to a certain degree. That is, the amount of children raised by their parents who can be indoctrinated against their parents' views is lower than the total production of children produced by these parents. So let me put it this way. If you have 10 children, only maybe 2 or 3 can be indoctrinated, but conservatives are winning the majority of this through teaching their own kids and instilling their values and basically controlling what their kids can see and think and hear, as they should to a certain degree. As the kids get older, you give the kids more freedom and things like this. But here's the story.
Wait, what does that have to do with the first part, though? So even if you want to take them at face value and say conservatives are effectively homeschooling their kids, and so I need to see data. If that is true, sure, I want to learn the fact that conservatives or right-wingers are overwhelmingly all self-schooled. That alone doesn't account for what you are now kind of like equating with an entire shift in culture, right? And then there being a larger demographic representation of queer folk, because a certain degree of them weren't able to be influenced. So there would have been a percentage, yes, some percent would have been, converted by the woke mind virus and watching, just the wrong TikTok video, and then all of a sudden they would have become the gay. But for the most part, yeah, it's prevented from homeschooling.
From the Daily Mail. The 41 million Gen Z voters who will decide the 2024 election are by far the most LGBTQ cohort to date. And they're ditching Christianity, conservatism in the GOP survey. Fully 28% of Gen Zers are LGBTQ compared to 4% of boomers. Quote, "It's over for white Christian male hegemony."
By the way, there is certainly some truth for, this is not a winning strategy, right-wingers. Please keep doing it. Keep being weird, perverted, obsessed sickos, because, normies, they see this shit. It's just, it's utterly bizarre. I've had people who are apolitical friends, who are, well-to-do, good libs and stuff like that, who are just yeah, what's going up with the Jordan Peterson dude? I was like, what about him? He's like, he got some video where he's going off about Elliot Page, but he's really, really obsessed with him, talking about his abs and calling him a woman. And, that's weird, right? I was like, yeah, it is weird. Yeah, I know, that's weird. Well, he's a big weirdo. He's got a long history of being a big weirdo sicko. Yeah, I mean, I could go off about this, but I'm glad that Jordan Peterson's own strange perversity speaks for itself.
In the where boomer faith in God is low, Gen Z belief is up. Now, the reason why I said I could disprove that article is because conflicting sources exist. You can Google it all across the board, and they'll say Christianity is up, it's down, and they will choose the metrics they so desire to make that claim. And while it may be true that among most groups, Christianity is down, among Gen Z, it's up. Donald Trump has now three different polls showing he is winning the youth vote. It's so serious that Democrats, according to Vox, are panicking. Typically, I reserve the Democrats' panic articles to, anti-woke and anti-Democrat.
Just looking at every single Pew Research poll that's been done recently on this topic, and just flat out wrong. In the U.S., the decline of Christianity is happening at a rapid pace. An update on the changing religious landscape. The religious landscape in the U.S. continues to change at a rapid clip. Pew Research telephone surveys conducted in 2018, 2019, 65% of American adults described themselves as Christians when asked about their religion. That's down 12 percentage points over the last decade. Meanwhile, the religiously unaffiliated share of the population consisting of people who describe their religious identity as atheist, agnostic, nothing in particular, now stands at 26%. That's up from 17% in 2009.
And they're changing their views. I am not saying the boomers failed as a generation. I am saying they had failures. Every generation does.
You got to be careful. I mean, you don't want to alienate a huge chunk of your, let's just say, purchasing audience. The ones who are willing to spend a little bit of money on the TIM Pool prepper buckets. You need that demographic.
Gen Z, younger Gen Z people, saw what boomers did right and saw what they did wrong, and they said, we should correct for the wrong things. Now, of course, on the left, it's a cult. That's it. Have a nice day. Sorry, not interested. People get mad at me and they're like, Tim, when you say it's a cult, how are you actually gonna? Dude, look, man. I know it's tough. But let me tell you. Ben Shapiro debated Destiny. The Daily Wire just tweeted this out. Ben Shapiro defines wokeness, and he's like, we have to define it because a lot of people are accused of not defining it properly. And Ben is wrong in his definition of wokeness. My friends, you see, the problem with a lot of conservatives and politicos is that they live in this very esoteric realm.
Go on.
And Shapiro defines wokeness as a postmodernist, rooted in postmodernism, but it has changed and evolved to incorporate racial issues and things like this.
It's things you don't like, right wingers. That's your definition. Thing I don't like at any given time. Could be, the black Americans trying to fight for civil rights. Could be trans Americans trying to fight for civil rights. Could be gay Americans trying to fight for civil rights. Could be women trying to fight for civil rights. Could basically, you pick like marginalized community you don't like, trying to fight for civil rights, and if it shows up in any form of like representation in media, well then that's woke. Then it's woke all of a sudden. Yes, this movie went woke. And you know they say, you go woke, you go broke. Yes, this CIA went woke, and because they're going woke, they'll inevitably go broke.
Ben Shapiro is incorrect. In a strict esoteric realm, a component of wokeness does include these things, but the average person does not say woke to mean postmodernist, critical race theory, gender theory, etc. Woke,
no, they're probably saying thing I don't like.
Adherence to the social orthodoxy of dominant institutions.
Yeah, again, like I said, changing it to mean whatever you want at a given time, and then to be upset at that thing. So it's like a thing you don't like. Really easy to do. Thing you don't like. There you go. That thing you don't like. I don't like this thing. Oh, okay. So it's woke. Yeah, there you go. Thing you don't like. Yeah. Like civil rights, equal rights, you know, for all genders, things like woke. Yes, gotcha. Right.
Hence, woke people also are pro-war. Now the Ukraine flags are gone from their profiles. Woke people are for some reason pro-Palestine. How could it be that pro-Palestine people, they're an oppressed people and they're also LGBTQ, but in Palestine it's 10 years in prison if you're gay?
Well, I mean, when your worldview is saturated by the beanie sweat, as yours has become, it's got to be really complex to try and understand how the world works, right? You're just like, well, so the emojis are gone, which means they were pro-war, but now they're not war. But apparently they're anti-war because they're pro-Palestinian who are anti-gay, but they're gay or pro-gay. Something's confusing here, unless you understand, again, the postmodern neo-orthodoxy of wokeness and its insidiousness.
Part of the postmodernist belief that Ben does nail, he gets this correct.
I can't do bits on these people anymore because every time I do, they then just say it out loud. It's not even funny. I'm just stating thing that he's most likely going to say, but it's not like I was doing it because it's hyperbolic and it's silly, and I don't think they're going to actually go there. And then they're like, nah.
All run name of follow the leader. This is wokeness right here. This is wokeness incarnate. It's one way to explain it.
It's literally the opposite, which is so wild, you know? Like, you are witnessing the upside down taking place right here. It's just so, like... So wokeness is when people follow the orthodoxy of maintaining power and the status quo. I was like, no, that's not why black people invented the term. It was to make one self-aware of, say, the suffering or plight of others, and to make aware the civil rights and causes of other people and their struggles, to not be asleep while that is taking place, most likely under systems or structures of power that you yourself could be reinforcing. You know, to awaken oneself, to be woke. That way would not simply apply to the plight of black people, who, yes, deserve equal civil rights to everyone else. They shouldn't be overrepresented, say, in the criminal justice system the way they are. But that could apply to any people. That could apply to black people looking at the struggle and the plight of indigenous people. And then, yes, to wake one up. But sure, ants.
What's happening?
Like when you are basically rage with the machine, that's what like fucking all of this is upholding, then yeah, you'd see the world in reverse. You'd see it upside down. You know, the prism suddenly changes your perspective. And you're like, oh, so all these people who are like, they should have equal access to healthcare. Doesn't matter if you're cis or trans. They're upholding the orthodoxy of the institutions. And they're doing that to maintain power structures and the status quo. And that's why they're saying free Palestine, even though they might be LGBTQ plus. And if you were LGBTQ in Palestine, they'd blow you up. So yeah, it's chickens for KFC. That's the science behind wokeness.
Is when the ants leave a pheromone trail, they loop around creating a circle. They follow that trail forever. They don't realize that they're running in circles. It's too big of a space. And then they just die. They eventually run out of energy and die. That's wokeness. They're all just following
They eventually run out of energy and die. That's wokeness. That's intense.
each other, following each other. It makes no sense. Now,
Yeah, wokeness is when pheromones. Ah, god damn it. Those woke ass pheromones. Can't control myself.
of course, there are new ants being injected into the mold, and they will go along with it. New ideas can be injected into the social orthodoxy. That's true.
Honestly, if I was Jordan Peterson, I would bust out the lawyers. Right now, Tim Pool is ripping off your shit, all right? If you just substitute lobsters for ants, that's the new fucking Tim Pool grift he's got going on here.
Oh, bloody hell, the wokeness of the mighty ant as it follows one upon the other in the hierarchies.
There's no future for the people who enforce and live in this ideology where they sterilize themselves and don't have kids. Surrogacy is becoming a big thing, and I understand why the right's so opposed to it. The left is trying to find ways to procreate.
What? Surrogacy, it's not new. It's not a new thing. It didn't just happen last year. It's like, oh, so we're thinking of this new technology called surrogacy. Yeah, it's been around. So what are you saying now, Tim? Fuck them orphans? Is that the segment? And basically, you know, fuck orphans. Yeah, fuck every orphan.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Can you please hit the like and subscribe button and maybe leave a comment? It really does help the videos out. But first, the people who produce everything you see before you and make this entire channel possible: Amazing Fletch, Anna Loves Riley, Ariane McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Multimondi, Omni, Peanut Butter Blondie, Political Puppy, Quiet 185, Rachel K, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Ruby K, Cernicus, Spinach Monster, Stellar Vision, Sebastian DeMel, Trevbot.exe, Words Greenwood, and Travis McClinton. And also, thank you to every other person who helps fund this show. Their names are on the screen right now. It would not be possible without every single one of them. We cannot thank you enough. And if you want to join the Patreon, please come to patreon.com/theserfs and help us exist.